Well, I'm Douglas Crabtree, here at the front gallery in the Majestic Galleries in Nelsonville. It's Final Friday, May 31st, 2019. I'm a self-trained photographer offering. It is my first solo show in 8 years. I've been doing this, nude photography, black and white on film, for 16 years. I have worked with non-professional models. That's all I use, non-professional, because I like for my women to be photographed in the area in which they live and among the scenes that they see every day. I don't make any pretense to high art. I just do what I want to do. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you.
The Syrian government is one side and the opposition is the other side. There's more than 20 different groups taking part in Syria. So the Syrian government, the Assad, is one player in there. Is he my problem? I hate him is only 10% of the problem. There's 90% others. There's ISIS, there's Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda changed their names in the past 6 years 20 times. Each time they change their name so they are not considered a terrorist organization. So their current name is not considered a terrorist organization, and they got aid. Senator McCain was tricked by some of the terrorists when he visited Aleppo a couple years ago, and they took photos with him, wanted terrorists by the United States, because they changed the name of the organization. If I want to talk about the president, he's not my problem. He's just one fact. I'm indifferent about him. In some point, he lost control of 70% of Syria. If I went back to Syria where the government control, I'll be prosecuted. Because I'm talking what I'm talking about. The recordings, because these recordings, the sound and videos, are illegal on it there. I cannot put anything in my personal Facebook because that would threaten my family. So, without having to stand against or with the president, I'll be prosecuted anyway. In Syria, artists, either they are talking about sublime, abstract, surreal art, or they are supporting the government. You cannot do anything else if you're going to criticize the government in any way. Many of my friends got imprisoned, artists, and some of them got killed.
So we get one side from the news media, and I'm wondering how you would characterize that side that we get from the news media.
I have 10 different channels broadcasting from the Middle East all at once. And you could see that each one of them, they are from far left to far right, they are broadcasting the same images with different subtitles. They show you people died. One news would say this is the government who killed them. The other news would tell you terrorists killed them. But at the end, it's the same person who died. That the media have their own theories. If you talk with anyone from Egypt, they will tell you that Al Jazeera is the reason who complicated the things of the Arab Spring in the Middle East. Because Al Jazeera is owned as a news channel by the royal family of Qatar. Most of the news channels that speak in Arabic in the Middle East that are owned by royal families. That make them subjective, not objective. CNN International broadcasts, for example, total different news in the Middle East than they broadcast in here. I tried to stream the CNN International here. The link is saying it's not allowed to broadcast in CNN International in the States.
Whoa.
I had to actually use a VPN proxy to be able to broadcast it in my show. Even news channels from great powers that translate in Arabic, they have their own agendas to support their policies in the Middle East. And that's interfering in the policy there. So that's what complicates things. Without, like, I'm taking myself out of the picture. The media itself is interfering of how you could view it. Like in the States you could see it, people who listen to CNN or Fox News. You could hear the opposites with information. But when you go to a bigger expander, Middle East, when you have 22 countries, each one have their own news channel, and everyone contributing, and all these channels held by royal families, that's when the objective becomes subjective. I have a map there that's showing the countries that are interfering in Syria right away. If you compare each one of these countries with the official news channels that they have, you could see that these interferences are equaling of how these channels talking about how their country interfering. The Russian news channels, for example, are talking about terrorists in Syria and talking about the Syrian government as legit. If you're talking about the United States, they talk President Assad, a dictator. Foreign policy is affected by these channels. There is no reliable source to get to know what's happening other than hearing from the people directly. Now you know Basil, I'm knowable, you hear my story, and it's up to you to hear what other voices you want to hear.
Yeah, I've been working in the hoop house a bunch. It's developing beds in there and just making some good progress, and pretty excited about it.
I assume they have a really good plan.
Guard my soul, my big bands. You're not going to solve?
They got a marketer, Margaret told me, if they do that, they're going to be making a paper. Now they're hoping that the paper makes the money. Last year was hard. First 2 weeks, she decided I wasn't going.
People were laughing at
Right there.
I was just saying the band, we had a band, and last fall, standing around the fire, grafting, they're all.
It's up to you, I guess, I'm sorry, I don't. How are you doing? I can make myself. majority of people don't understand like the Somalian population, and they have that great family in the United States. And they still need education because the government wanted people to go. We don't teach people to be citizens.
Ignorant and undereducated.
Like, undereducated. It's been a couple generations.
I don't think it's the government. I really think it's just other part of the government. Shadow government. Yeah. In Ohio, it doesn't make any sense. We all go like this. Yes.
In our learning, right?
So we're getting involved with that because we have 80 acres.
I'm grateful and I understand.
We don't contribute a portion of those, but they're already
They don't
some
want
that are
they don't
available.
want to teach them.
I'm trying to think.
You know what else is a really big thing in Jonesville? You know that they have special units for crime, that they train dogs.
Oh, body farm. I know.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they're very, but it's not just that, they're very, it's, they don't want public school. Well, that's the same thing. Every kid, they feel the dirt.
When you train your body, you put it in the body.
Now we're starting to see autoimmune.
Well, don't need to buy when you go to medical school, get that open and home to make fun of, and also you got to and when our body farm, and I just have to pickles or cooked,
Just put
they are just smashed. I know, some of them, you know, it's not a tree that's top of you. So residential forests,
you know, or polarizing.
anyway, there are several of them.
What are they called? I can't.
Eco funerals, eco burial. What should I do?
Yes, we have something.
I don't know. There is that, I suppose. Is that like what they do in Tibet? They chop them up and feed to the animals? Yeah, they took them at the top of the mountain, chopped them up and fed them to the animals. And for years they wouldn't know.
They had cultures where
You're welcome to look at our display.
and they showed the Egypt building, the whole top, there were vultures, and these three bodies.
Why not? It's the waste pickup. Think about it. I always call them the road cleaning crew. I see them.
Right?
Cute.
It's not done like I mean, these guys.
Bugs, vultures, crows. They're road cleaning all the time.
Exactly.
So you're right. There's something to.
Do you know if
I think you have to be in some other.
the water bottles like Dasani and Aquafina
Like
have
Good morning.
Good morning.
Goddess, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the goddamn foolhardy stubbornness to resist the premise that there is brokenness in the world that cannot be changed and must be accepted. Grant me the patience to endlessly explain obvious things to oblivious people, the vision to see a path through the darkness when a better world seems impossible, and the wisdom not to give up before the job is done. Or how about just this instead? Grant me the strength to change the things I cannot accept. The Activist's Prayer by Myra Kirsten. Happy Pride, everybody!
Happy Pride.
Many, many, many thanks to the UU Fellowship of Athens for the opportunity to be with you all this late morning. Services before 10 a.m. are an abomination and an affront to all that is holy. I also want to thank the Fellowship for your support and commitment to the inclusion of LGBTQ+ folks and to your participation in Pride Fest. As a board member for the Southeastern Ohio Rainbow Alliance, I would be failing in my duties if I didn't plug Athens Pride Fest. Please join us for Cheers and Queers, the drag show on Friday, Saturday's parade and rally, and then later in the evening a community dinner, and Sunday's family picnic and swim. All events are open to everyone and to all. I ask that we take a moment of silence to honor the 6 trans people who have been murdered this year. Dana Martin, Jazeline Ware, Ashanti Carmen, Claire Legato of Cleveland, Mulasia Booker, Michelle Tamika Washington, and the unnamed black transgender woman who was killed in a triple shooting in a home in Detroit. So pride is our text. our source for reflection, our place of theologizing, our font of inspiration. To see the spread of pride throughout the region, from Lancaster to Athens, from Zanesville to Portsmouth and to Parkersburg, pride is spreading and will continue to spread as we celebrate the amazingness of LGBTQ people. I start with a quote from lesbian poet and activist Gloria Anzaldúa. It is my daily source of inspiration and helps me to continue in la lucha. I am an act of meeting, of uniting and joining that not only has produced both a creature of darkness and a creature of light. Gloria's words reflect the history, the herstory, the Q-story of pride, a celebration of how we as LGBTQ plus people continuously revolutionize and redefine the world with our fabulousness and our fierceness. The event many consider the first Pride was a riot. In late June 1969 at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, a group of drag queens, trans folk, people of color, homeless youth, people on the fringes of white gay culture and of society as a whole were led by Sylvia Rivera, Marsha P. Johnson, Miss Major, among others, in fighting back against police brutality and harassment. They threw bricks, punches, and even high-heel shoes. Over several nights of riots and protests, they broke the silence that marginalized the LGBT community. They proclaimed a message that we refuse to be threatened, we refuse to be bullied, we refuse to be brutalized by the police. They embodied that we are here, we are queer, and we're not going anywhere. On June 28, 1970, the first Pride marches took place in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Chicago to honor the riots at the Stonewall Inn. Sylvia Rivera's words, "Remember, hell hath no fury like a queer diva scorned." In the 80s and 90s, groups like ACT UP and the Lesbian Avengers took it to the streets demanding that we speak up, stop hate, and fight AIDS. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Trans Day of Remembrance started to honor trans lives silenced by violence. We mourned the dead and committed to fighting like hell for the living. Over the years, Pride evolved into community celebrations involving everything from dance parties to parades to prayer services to drag queens reading children's stories. In 1978, artist Gilbert Baker created the now iconic symbol of our community, the Rainbow Pride flag. The rainbow flag initially had 8 stripes. Over the years, different communities have created their own banners and symbols. Trans flag, the bisexual flag, the asexual flag, the lesbian labyrinth, the reclaiming of the pink triangle, the pansexual flag, the genderqueer flag, and a whole lot more. In 2017 in Philadelphia, the rainbow flag was expanded to include a black and brown stripe, reminding us not to erase or overlook the needs, experiences, and realities of LGBT people of color. This is the flag that the city of Athens is now flying for the month of June at the Armory. We also now honor holidays like National Coming Out Day, Bisexual Awareness Day, Intersex Awareness Day, Non-Binary Awareness Day, Asexual Awareness Week, Trans Day of Visibility, and the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. Pride has spread throughout Ohio, throughout the country, and around the world. Last year at Portsmouth, I shared that Antarctica celebrated its first Pride because just like people, penguins have pride too. Each year, more and more cities are hosting their first Pride celebrations, even in countries where being LGBT is considered a criminal offense. Our daily existence is a form of resistance and is part of the glitter revolution. Folks who were and are willing to put their lives on the line, folks willing to get down and dirty and do the work, be the work, live the work. In many radical social justice circles, especially those grounded in the realities and experiences of Indigenous communities, the calling is not to be an ally, but to be an accomplice. To quote Indigenous Australian activist and artist Leela Watson, "If you come here to help me, you're wasting your time. If you come here because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together." Solidarity is not just using the rainbow filters and stickers on social media. The hashtags, likes on Facebook, and having your gay best friend are great and a place to start. but we are called to do more. We are witnessing the formation of an ally industrial complex that needs to be taken apart, that is doing more harm than good for minoritized communities. Some are uncomfortable with the term accomplice because of its legal or criminal implications. Sometimes solidarity requires us to break the law. We're living at a time of political turmoil where progress made is being unraveled. Taking someone to a health center for an abortion is illegal. There are proposals to allow shelters to ban trans people from seeking refuge, making solidarity with trans people or just being trans illegal. Our relationship and physical acts of passion were illegal until Lawrence versus Texas in 2002 and 2003. We can still be fired and kicked out of housing in 30 states. Solidarity is messy. Accomplicehood is messy. It changes the narrative of I support you to I am with you. Accomplicehood is not about pity or feeling sorry or feeling guilty or having a savior complex. Accomplicehood is about having true pride in those and with those that we support. Pride is the middle school and high school student who may be closeted but still participates in school and finds ways to be quietly fierce. Pride is that despite legal obstacles, LGBTQ couples are forming families and creating communities of belonging. Sweet Honey in the Rock created an anthem inspired by the words and life of civil rights leader Ella Baker. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers' sons, is as important as the killing of white men and white mothers' sons. As a person of faith and a person of spirit, the first pride for me was the moment I was created, and the image and the diversity and the fierceness, feistiness, and fabulousness of God. The moment in which sacred sass was breathed into each of us, celebrating that we are all created good and that we are all equally blessed. Each of us created in the image of a goddess who loves us, embraces us, celebrates pride in us, and celebrates pride with us. Parkland High School student and bisexual Latinx student Emma Gonzalez challenges us: no more thoughts, no more prayers. It is time for action. Pride is not just a gimmick or something trendy. It is a prophetic witness of solidarity and accomplicehood. Pride is about believing wholeheartedly that black and brown lives matter. No human is illegal. Women's rights are human rights. Pronouns are not preferences. Water is life in North Dakota and Torch, Ohio, and everywhere. We each have agency over our bodies and have the right to reproductive health care and to make decisions about what happens to and in and with our bodies. As Representative Maxine Waters says, be controversial, period. To quote a prayer inspired by the life of Archbishop Oscar Romero, we accomplish in our lifetime only a tiny fraction of the magnificent enterprise that is God's work. Nothing we do is complete, which is a way of saying that the kingdom always lies beyond us. No statement says all that could be said. No prayer fully expresses our faith. No set of goals and objectives includes everything. This is what we are about. We plant the seeds that one day will grow. We water seeds already planted, knowing that they hold future promise. We lay foundations that will need further development. We provide yeast that produces far beyond our capabilities. We cannot do everything, and there is a sense of liberation in that. This enables us to do something, and to do it very well. It may be incomplete, but it is a beginning, a step along the way, an opportunity for the Lord's grace to enter and do the rest. We may never see the end results, but that is the difference between the master builder and the worker. We are workers, not master builders. We are ministers, not messiahs. We are prophets of a future not our own. I close with a benediction by Jim McGaw. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace seeking justice. I mean go in peace, committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Pride is political. Pride is celebration. Pride is revolution. Pride is prophetic. Pride is us.
You're at risk of losing your job just because of your sexual orientation or gender identity. What we're asking folks to do, the easiest action that you can take, fill out a postcard. This we're collecting these to give to Senator Portman. He is a Republican, but he ends up actually, he's convincible on this issue. He voted for a similar bill in 2014. The other thing is that we're a membership organization. So right now, Ohio's a priority state for us. So we actually are running a membership special. Political threats that are How are you? Yes.
attract the canines.
Literally
And so in order to get the canine out from their mouth without like damaging it, the flesh-eating beetles can eat around like the muscle tissue in the canine, so you can just slip it right out. I know. Super appetizing. Super appetizing.
It's actually kind of cool though. How did you get into that? I thought you were.
So I work in the sociology and anthropology lab.
Oh, so they'll be like, hey, you want to see some dead cats?
A little bit ago, you're filming me, so that's lovely. Yeah.
First 2 hours watching the full-length movie on the Stonewall Rebellion. A good place to start. This year, as stated earlier, is a celebration of that uprising and all it led to 50 years ago. As students thought, it went on, and it has not gone well or easily.
This past year has been very rough on us all. For those of us in the trans community, it's been rougher still. Every week, I read about some new attack on our right to exist. Every day, one of our brothers and sisters in the military have their careers abruptly ended. Many of us have to fight for even the most basic of medical care. Others are beaten and even murdered for no other reason than being themselves. It is true that we are living in dark times, but as dark as these days have been, I still have hope. Hope that science will triumph over ignorance. Hope that good nature will prevail over hate. Every day I see some new horror in the news, but I also see something else. I see people standing up to say no more. I see friends and allies taking up our fight. From small town city halls to corporate boardrooms, we are gaining. For the first time in history, the trans flag hangs, even now, in the halls of Congress. No, we are not being silenced. If I may borrow a phrase from history, we have only just begun to fight. To those of you who are afraid to even read the daily news, who are tired of living in fear, fear of a hostile government, fear of an angry and stubborn religion, I tell you, hold strong. Brighter days do lie ahead. To quote Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when the pendulum swings too far in one direction, it will go back. My friends, the pendulum has swung. Now it is up to us to help swing it back. Thank you.
Please join me in welcoming OU alum and the interim director of the LGBT Center, Micah McCary.
Happy Pride, everyone! I'm going to try and be loud for everyone to hear. My name is Micah, and this Pride, I am especially grateful for friendship. Friendship within LGBTQ plus communities is extremely important because those friendships teach us to listen to one another, to respect one another, and to form the kind of community we need to sustain us. Friendships among LGBTQ plus people and their allies are also incredibly important. They help us build connections and bridges also needed to sustain us. Today, I want to share with you, in the spirit of gratitude and friendship, a friendship meditation that invites your participation and comes in 3 phases. It will invite you to think of people who have been friends to you in the past, who may be friends to you now, or who may be friends for you in the future. So if you would, please imagine first the face or the voice of a first friend, perhaps one from childhood or long ago. And on the count of 3 with me, please say thank you. 1, 2, 3, thank you! And now, if you would, imagine the face or voice of a forever friend, someone you hope will be a part of your life forever. And on the count of 3, please with me give a loud thank you. 1, 2, 3, thank you! And a future friend, someone you aspire to be closer to you, someone you think you might be able to form a connection with. And on the count of 3, say thank you. 1, 2, 3, thank you! Again, friendships among LGBTQ people, so important. Friendships between LGBTQ plus and allies, incredibly necessary to sustain us. And my thank you to all of you, I invite you to join me in. It goes a little bit something like this. Thank you for being a friend. You're a pal and a confidant. If you threw a party and invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. Happy Pride Month, everyone.
Speak up, fight back, stop hate. Together. Speak up, fight back, stop hate. One more time.
Speak up, fight back, stop hate.
One more time.
Speak up, fight back, stop hate.
In typical fashion, now we open up the microphone for folks who feel inspired to share a poem, a song, a reflection. What does pride mean to you?
My name is Sarah. It's nice to meet you all. I wanted to talk about a fear of mine. Being trans and living in America. Alright. I know that America is not doing so great right now with LGBT issues. But I know that in general it is a lot safer to be queer here than in a lot of other places in the world. So I am kind of, thankful that I'm in less danger than I would have been if I lived somewhere else. But I am really sad that I'm in any danger at all. Just for existing, trans people, specifically trans women of color, have to fear every day that they could be raped, they could be assaulted, or they could be killed. This is not how society is supposed to work. People shouldn't be afraid to be themselves. They shouldn't fear to be alive. And the fact that so many people, especially trans youth, are so afraid to get older because we don't want to have to be a part of the horribleness that is going on with just society that is putting us all in so much danger. As much as I appreciate the fact that Trans Lives Matter is such a big movement, the fact that it has to be a movement at all saddens me. The fact that Black Lives Matter has to be a movement at all saddens me. Because lives should matter no matter whose they are. And that should just be implied because we're humans. We shouldn't have to stand up and make a statement just to say that we deserve to be alive in this country. Because everybody deserves to be alive in this country.
Yes, right.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy Pride Equality, Ohio. And Parenthood! In the back, the Athens Democrats are registering people to vote. I'm very mindful that voting is very complicated, but please do register to vote. They are registering people of all backgrounds.
Pride for me is to see and to hear you. I want to see other queer people. I'm so happy we're here. In a small town like Athens, we can see each other on the street. We can run into each other again after today. But I'm sad I can't see you. I'm wading through these tents and these brands. I want to hear you, but I can't hear this crappy stereo. You remember last year we were down at the amphitheater or whatever? We were in a circle. There was silence. So I hope in the future we put people first. Decolonize corporate pride. And also Ellie Hamrick for City Council.
Susan, I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Athens. Yeah, we call ourselves UUs, so you might hear that. And my question is, why are we the only faith community in the parade today? What gives? Yes. That's effed up, because inclusion should should be a religious value for everyone. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. That's what Unitarian Universalists believe. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. I know it's hard to get up on Sunday mornings, but if you ever want to come and join us, we're out on Longview Heights. We would love to have you. Right now, we are working on renewing our status as a welcoming congregation, which means that we want to embrace and invite in every person, every member of the LGBTQI, all of the letters. We love you. We're glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here. We love you all. Come and check us out. Check out our Facebook page. Faith communities need to step up and represent. And we are here for you. We will always be here for you. Love you.
I'm Ellie Hamrick. I'm bisexual. I'm a member of the Athens Revolutionary Socialists. And I'm running for an at-large seat on Athens City Council. Queer and trans lives are under attack. Since the election of Donald Trump, hate crimes against LGBTQ people have more than doubled. 9 Black trans women have been murdered so far this year. The life expectancy for Black trans women in this country is 35. That's completely unacceptable. There is a real urgency in fighting for our trans siblings, especially our trans sisters of color. Fighting for LGBTQ liberation means more than just being accepting and tolerant of LGBTQ people. We have to tear down oppressive systems. We have to fight to completely reorder the world as it is, in favor of a world that puts people and planet first. Fighting for LGBTQ liberation means working to abolish policing and prisons. LGBTQ people are incarcerated at triple the rate of the general population. Over 40% of incarcerated women are lesbian or bisexual. Almost half of Black trans people have been incarcerated in their lifetime. Once incarcerated, LGBTQ people are subjected to even higher rates of abuse than other prisoners, including long periods in solitary confinement, which is a form of torture, and rape. So to the OUPD, I would like to say that putting rainbow stickers on your cruisers in June does nothing to erase the long and continuing history of police harassing, abusing, raping, beating, kidnapping, and torturing LGBTQ people. It does nothing to change your ongoing role in supporting and maintaining the oppressive, racist, classist, sexist, homophobic, and transphobic system of capitalism. It does nothing to change the fact that police are our enemies and not our allies. No cops in pride. Okay, I gotta go. Fighting for LGBTQ liberation also means fighting to eliminate borders. All human beings should have the right to travel freely, to live and work wherever they choose, regardless of their race or national origin. U.S. imperialists have imposed right-wing dictatorships throughout Latin America and the world. Dictatorships that make it unsafe for queer and trans people to stay in their homes. When those queer and trans people migrate in search of safety, the U.S. has the audacity to turn them away, to militarize borders, to force people to risk their lives traveling through the most dangerous portion of the desert, to lock people up in concentration camps, to tear families apart. Joanna Medina, a 25-year-old trans asylum seeker from El Salvador, died in El Paso this weekend after spending 7 weeks in immigration jail. Joanna had sought medical treatment for nearly 2 months from complications related to HIV/AIDS before finally being transferred to the hospital last week, and she died 4 days later. Joanna is believed to be the second trans migrant to die during time in ICE custody since Trump became president. The other is Roxana Hernandez Rodriguez, a 33-year-old Honduran woman who died in ICE custody in May of last year. An autopsy revealed that she was beaten prior to her death. Fighting for LGBTQ liberation means fighting to end poverty and inequality, including here in Athens. The Democrats have run Athens with virtually no opposition, at least since George W. Bush's first term in office, and they have done nothing to change the fact that Athens is the poorest and most unequal county in Ohio. LGBTQ people are more likely to experience food insecurity, housing instability and homelessness, low wages, unemployment, and underemployment. In conclusion, the fight for LGBTQ liberation is a fight to the death against the cruel and deadly capitalist system. I urge you to get organized immediately in your school, your workplace, and your community.
Hi, I'm Michelle Wilson. I want to speak for a moment about what pride means to me. I'm a pansexual, polyamorous woman, and I love the fact that I'm able to stand here and say this and be myself at Pride, and I'm glad that you are able to stand here and be who you are at Pride as well. Thank you.
Hi, my name is McCrae Powell. I am a comrade of Ellie Hamrick's, and I'm running for Nelsonville City Council, and I'm very envious of her great, fantastic speech that I don't have. But I want to say that we have to fight for LGBT rights in all of our communities, from Athens to Nelsonville to Gloucester, all over this county, all over the state, all over this country. It has to be a fight we fight every single day. And that fight includes higher wages for everyone, that includes health care for everyone, that includes food for everyone.
I'm Sophie. I'm 13. I keep forgetting that. Sorry. And to me, pride means exactly what it says, to be proud of who you are and what you are. And honestly, I'm really sad that so many people and systems are taking that away from the people who deserve to be what and who they are. I believe it was a 5-year-old died, which is just really messed up because our government wasn't willing to help out those in need of help. The Monroe Doctrine set up a system for our country that says you are not allowed to invade our Western Hemisphere countries, and we are here to help the Southern Americas. But we've gone completely against that in these past 3 years, and I really want that to change. And I'm a kid, there's not much I can do, but eventually, when I'm an adult, I can vote, I can run for councils, and I'm really excited to get there sooner than later. Because even in my school, there are people that are homophobic and racist, and I hate it so much. If you're a kid like me, I would recommend going to the QSA table because they're awesome, and my sister's running that right now. She's awesome too. Hi, Audrey. I really can't wait to make a change with all of you. It's really great that we're in the county that was the only one in our state who voted for LGBTQ plus marriage, but thankfully the nation decided to go with it too. So, I mean, I'm really happy that all of us are here and having a good time. So, happy Pride Fest!
For creative anachronism. Please support Italian Ice Vendor, and also the Snow Cone people also have a Pride special. And we're selling our wonderful Athens Pride Fest merchandise.
Political! Pride is inconvenient! Pride is agitating! Keep your pride political!
Something I realized when I came out a year ago is that there are people who you don't know yet are your supporters. They don't quite yet understand what's going on because there's been hundreds of years of people telling them that this isn't okay. But they're not bad people. Seek to educate the people you love and seek to help them understand what our goal is. We don't want violence, we want to be human. That's all I think we should ask for.
Pride continues. Our existence is resistance and revolution. We need to support queer youth and their amazingness now, as they are the now. Please support the Queer Straight Alliance at Athens High School. Please support PRISM. Please support Glisten of Columbus. We need to pass the Fairness Ohio Bill and the Equality Act to protect LGBTQ folks both in our state and federally. Our lives are threatened every day. through workplace discrimination and housing discrimination. We say enough. We are not second-class citizens. We need to have conversations now about the needs and realities and fierceness of our LGBTQ elders. We need to be ace positive, as asexuals are amazing. Our pride must celebrate that trans people matter now and matter always. Trans men are men. Trans women are women. We non-binary and genderqueer folk are just awesome, period. We need to honor our roots. We need to learn our history, our herstory, our Q story. We need to learn about Compton and Stonewall and Sylvia and Marcia and Gloria and Gwen Arujo, Freddie Martinez, Polly Murray, the realities of HIV and AIDS, the reality that two-spirit identities are vibrant and have been here for a long time before the violence of colonization. We need to remember our queer rainbow story in its fullness, with its hardships and celebrations. Pride is about celebrating that we are here, we are queer, we have always been here, and we will always be here. We continue the revolution. Pride is an ongoing commitment of accomplicehood. Pride invites us to transform our privilege into true solidarity and to center voices that are neglected. Pride is Black and Brown Lives Matter. No human is illegal. Women's rights are human rights. Water is life, and we need to preserve our wild spaces like Wayne National Forest. Food deserts should not exist. We must be accessible to all bodies and abilities. We must be accessible to those living with invisible disabilities and visible disabilities. It's not only good to invite people to the party, we also need to invite them to dance. The T in LGBT is not silent. Drag performers reading to children is not perversion. We each have agency over our bodies, have the right to reproductive health care, and to make decisions about what happens to and in and with our bodies. We need to build bridges, not walls. Our pride and solidarity must be intersectional. If not, it's bullshit. And lastly, to quote Representative Maxine Waters, or as many of us are calling her, Auntie Maxine, be controversial, period. Be a rainbow in the lives of others today and the lives of others always, as Maya Angelou invites us. From the pit of my tummy, which is deeper than my heart, many, 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 many thanks to all of you for your presence here today and for your presence here always. Happy Pride all. Si se puede. Do it to it. Thank you. Please enjoy the tables and community, and we'll see you hopefully later tonight.
As long as it's not Jeff.
I don't know. The biggest dog I've ever seen.
Oh, wait, no, they're right there.
Oh, they're already back?
Oh, man, I'm going to go get my drink.
Oh, yeah, were they bringing you iced coffee? When I talked to Chris, we need to take. I was like, my daughter really wants to know. You have like a unicorn one. And the best thing, they did tear it out. The phone number You are so beautiful.
Don't abuse me! Oh my god!